Why would a nation gamble $13 billion on a single ship? Why replace the legendary Nimitz-class, the undisputed kings of the ocean for decades, with the Gerald R. Ford? And perhaps the most disturbing question of all, in an age of hypersonic missiles and swarm drones, can this floating city actually defend itself? Or is it just a massive, nuclear-powered target? To understand the answers, we have to go beyond the price tag. We have to step inside the hull. I want you to picture the sheer scale of what we are dealing with. At a glance, the Ford looks deceptively similar to its predecessor. But that is an illusion. When we strip away the exterior, we find that the Ford is a radically different beast. We are talking about 25 decks, distinct levels, rising from the keel at the bottom of the ocean to the towering mast of the superstructure. The Nimitz only had 18. This vertical expansion isn't just for show, it is about capacity. This architectural shift allows the Ford to carry a staggering 90 aircraft. Compare that to the 60 found on a standard Nimitz run. That is a 30% increase in lethal force. But how do you fit the air force of a small nation onto a boat? The secret lies in the hangar bay. It spans 2/3 of the ship's length, a cavernous garage hidden beneath the flight deck, designed not just for storage, but for the rapid maintenance and arming of warplanes. Above this, the flight deck itself covers 5 acres. To put that in perspective, imagine 4 American football fields stitched together. It is one of the largest mobile structures ever built by human hands. But having the space is one thing, moving the weapons is another. This is where the design philosophy of the Ford begins to make sense. The designers made a calculated decision to move the island, the command tower, further back. This seemingly small adjustment opened up the deck, reducing congestion. They also reduced the number of aircraft elevators from 4 to 3. Why reduce them? Because the new layout is so efficient, they didn't need the 4th. The forward elevator rushes jets to the catapults. The midship elevator acts as the central hub. The aft elevator handles recovery and maintenance. It is a choreography of violence, streamlined for speed. But the true revolution and the source of the most controversy is the way this ship throws airplanes into the sky. For 40 years, we relied on steam. It was brutal, effective, and primitive. A steam catapult builds up massive pressure and releases it, slamming the aircraft forward. It takes a heavy toll on the airframe. The Ford abandoned this. They installed the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS. Why spend a fortune on magnets? Let me explain the mechanism. Deep inside the ship, nuclear reactors generate massive amounts of electricity. This power is stored in kinetic storage systems, waiting for the command. When the pilot signals ready, that electricity is converted from direct current to high-frequency alternating current. It feeds into a linear motor running the length of the catapult track. It works like a railgun. A shuttle connects to the aircraft's landing gear. Through a digital software loop, electromagnets on the track turn on and off in precise sequence, creating a moving magnetic field that drags the shuttle forward. It is smooth, it is silent, and it accelerates a fighter jet to 155 miles per hour in seconds. The reason for this switch is survival. Steam breaks things. Electromagnetics is gentle. This system reduces stress on the jets, extending their service life. More importantly, it is versatile. Steam catapults are too strong for light, delicate drones. EMALS can dial down the power, launching everything from a heavy, bomb-laden fighter to a lightweight surveillance drone. It future-proofs the ship for a war fought by robots. However, getting them into the air is only half the battle. The flight deck is widely considered one of the most dangerous workplaces on Earth. Every minute, 4 to 5 jets are launching. The heat is intense. Behind every engine, jet blast deflectors rise up on hydraulic cylinders, shielding the rest of the deck from the incinerating exhaust. And then, they have to come back. Unlike the British or Russian carriers that use a ski jump ramp, the Americans use brute force to stop their planes. This is the art of the arrested landing. 4 steel cables stretch across the deck. A pilot has to catch one with a tailhook. They go from 150 miles per hour to a dead stop in just 300 feet. It is essentially a controlled car crash, repeated dozens of times a day. Overseeing this chaos is the air boss, perched high in the tower, commanding the movement of every piece of metal on the roof. Below him sits the captain in the bridge, steering a 100,000-ton diplomat, but the real eyes of the ship are invisible. The Ford utilizes a dual-band radar system, a massive upgrade in situational awareness. But where does that data go? It flows down into the bowels of the ship, to the Carrier Combat Direction Center. This is the nerve center. In the past, humans had to manually track and target threats. The Ford changes the game with automation. Imagine a swarm of suicide drones heading toward the ship. The Ford's software identifies the most critical threats instantly, prioritizing them for the gunners. It coordinates the defense systems faster than a human ever could. This is why the Ford is dangerous. It thinks faster than its enemies. Living inside this machine are 5,000 souls. Below the hangars, the ship is a city. There are 2 mess decks, gyms, and even a convenience store. But life here is strictly regimented. The sleeping quarters, the berthing are stacked tight, scattered fore and aft. The ship never sleeps. While the pilots rest, the mechanics are in the engineering bays, rebuilding jet engines. The ordnance teams are deep near the keel, moving bombs from the magazines using specialized elevators designed to prevent explosions from reaching the upper decks. But let's address the elephant in the room. Is this ship a sitting duck? The Navy doesn't think so. The Ford is bristling with teeth. Up front, it carries heavy machine guns. But the real defense lies in the automated killer systems. We are looking at the Phalanx CIWS, the close-in weapon system. It's a radar-guided Gatling gun that fires 4,500 rounds per minute. It creates a wall of tungsten. If a missile slips past the outer perimeter, the ship has the Sea Sparrow and the rolling airframe missile, RAM systems. These are agile, supersonic interceptors designed to hunt down cruise missiles. The radar tracks the incoming threat, calculates the intercept point, and the ship fires. It can shred a hostile boat or a drone swarm in seconds. However, the carrier never travels alone. It is the queen on the chessboard, and it brings its own guards. A typical carrier strike group includes guided missile destroyers, usually the Arleigh-Burke-class, designed to sweep the sky of enemy aircraft. A Ticonderoga-class cruiser leads the formation, managing the air war. And lurking beneath the waves, often unseen, are Virginia-class nuclear attack submarines hunting the hunters. The air wing itself acts as a sensor net. The E-2 Hawkeye, with its giant rotating radar dish, flies ahead, seeing over the horizon, detecting enemies 300 miles away. It is the quarterback in the sky. Meanwhile, Seahawk helicopters dip sonar buoys into the water, listening for the faint acoustic signature of enemy submarines. If they find one, they drop a torpedo that hunts the sub autonomously. So, how do you move 100,000 tons of steel at 35 miles per hour indefinitely? You need the power of a star. The Ford is driven by 2 A-1B nuclear reactors. This is where the physics gets terrifying and awe-inspiring. Inside the reactor, uranium atoms are split. This is fission. We bombard uranium-235 with neutrons. When a nucleus splits, it releases heat and more neutrons, which split more atoms. It is a chain reaction. If you don't control it, you get a bomb. If you control it, you get energy. Control rods absorb the excess neutrons, keeping the reaction stable. The heat generated is immense. It boils water in a closed loop, creating high-pressure steam. This steam screams through massive turbines. These turbines do 2 things. First, they spin 8 massive electrical generators, creating enough power to run a city of 100,000 people or power those electromagnetic catapults we talked about. Second, through massive reduction gears, the turbines turn the 4 propeller shafts. This propulsion system gives the Ford unlimited range. It can circle the globe for 20 years without stopping for fuel. It only stops because the crew needs food. The Gerald R. Ford is more than just a ship, it is a statement. It replaces the brute force of steam with the precision of electricity. It replaces manual labor with automation. It is a $13 billion gamble that technology can overcome the sheer chaos of war. From the nuclear fire in its belly to the digital eyes in its tower, it is designed to do one thing: project power anywhere on Earth and survive the attempt.